Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well because today I've got a lot of really important weather news to cover. Right now, there's a massive storm system moving across the United States, and this thing is about to make history. We're talking about one of the most powerful storms we've ever seen in the month of March. And that's based on its incredibly low barometric pressure. This storm isn't just setting records, it's also bringing a ton of dangerous weather with it. We've already seen blizzard conditions in some areas. And now there's a serious risk of severe weather developing, including damaging winds, large hail, and even tornadoes. And the crazy part, it's not over yet. Fine. There's still a lot more to come today. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. As we move into tomorrow, Friday, things are going to start shifting pretty dramatically. We'll see temperatures drop in a lot of areas, but the strong winds we've been dealing with are finally going to start calming down across most of the country. It's going to be a pretty big change from the intense weather we're seeing right now. So that's why in today's forecast, I want to take some time to break down exactly what's happening and, more importantly, what you need to know over the next few days. Let's start with what's going on across the country this morning, because this storm is absolutely massive. I'm not exaggerating when I say this is one of the biggest storms you'll ever see in March. Right now, the low pressure system is sitting over the Midwest, and it's already been causing a ton of problems. We've had widespread showers and thunderstorms rolling across the Southeast, and the East Coast has been getting hit pretty hard too. But the worst of it is still ahead. Later this morning and into the afternoon, we're expecting an even bigger round of severe weather. The areas we're most concerned about right now are eastern North Carolina and Virginia, where the conditions are shaping up to produce some pretty dangerous storms. We're talking about damaging winds, large hail, and yes, the very real potential for tornadoes. But this isn't just limited to those states. This whole system stretches from Florida all the way up into Pennsylvania. So if you're anywhere in that zone, you need to stay weather aware today. I also want to take a minute to talk about what we saw yesterday, because it was absolutely wild. In North Texas, the winds were so strong that they kicked up a massive dust storm. And when I say massive, I mean it. Check out this photo that Debbie from Dallas sent in. It literally looks like something out of a sci-fi movie, like the surface of Mars. The dust was so thick that it traveled all the way from West Texas across North Texas and even made it as far east as Houston. If you saw anything like this where you live, whether you're in Texas, Oklahoma, or somewhere nearby, let me know in the comments, because I'd love to hear your experience. As we move through the next few hours, the snow is going to keep falling across parts of Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. This isn't just a quick dusting. The snow is going to stick around through the early afternoon, especially in places like Wisconsin and Michigan's Upper Peninsula. By this evening, the snow should start winding down, but the wind, that's going to be a whole different story. If you look at the weather maps, you'll see these really tight ISO bars, and that's a sure sign that strong winds are going to keep blasting through the region. Even areas like Kentucky, northern Tennessee, Ohio, and Indiana could see some light snow tonight, and the winds are only going to make conditions even more difficult. Looking ahead to Thursday morning, most of this snow event will start clearing out in the Ohio Valley and the Mid-Atlantic. You'll still see a few snow showers lingering overnight, but by the time we get into Thursday, things should finally start calming down for places like the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. But before we get to that point, we still have a serious risk of severe weather today along the East Coast. Damaging winds, large hail, and isolated tornadoes are all possible from Lake Erie down through Florida. In fact, some of these wind gusts could get really intense. We're talking up to 80 miles per hour in parts of North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. If you got any loose items outside of trampolines, patio furniture, lawn decorations, now's the time to secure them, because these winds are strong enough to send them flying. The tornado risk today is mostly concentrated in the Mid-Atlantic, but we could still see isolated tornadoes popping up in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Maryland, Delaware, and even down into parts of Florida. That's why it's so important. Now, I have multiple ways to receive weather alerts today. Whether it's through a weather app, NOAA radio, or your local news station, make sure you've got a tornado action plan in place too, just in case things take a turn for the worse. As we move into the early afternoon, we're going to see the tornado risk start ramping up. especially around the coastal areas of South Carolina and North Carolina. Places like Myrtle Beach are right in the zone where conditions are going to be most favorable for tornadoes between about 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. All right, further north is enough wind shear that we could see a few isolated tornadoes in Virginia, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Maryland. The tornado threat will start to drop off after sunset, but we could still see one or two isolated twisters even into the evening hours. Once this line of storms moves through, we're not completely out of the woods. Behind the front, a cold core setup is developing over areas like Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Ohio. This could produce some hail and gusty winds into late afternoon and evening. So if you've got outdoor plans, keep an eye on the weather just in case. By tonight, most of the severe weather threat along the East Coast should wind down. And by Thursday, the storm system finally starts moving out, but those strong winds are going to stick around for a little while longer. Through the morning, we'll still see gusts between 30 and 50 miles per hour across the Great Plains, Midwest, and Southeast. The good news is that the winds should start dying down by tonight, but along the East Coast, they'll likely stick around through most of the day on Thursday. This storm has been truly historic. It's a barometric pressure dropped to around 975 MB in the Midwest, which is almost unheard of for March. That's the kind of pressure you expect in a powerful winter storm or even a hurricane, not something this late in the season. What's particularly interesting for this event is that it's been a long time since parts of the southeastern U.S. have seen a severe weather threat of this magnitude. First, in fact, it's been nearly 2 years since this region has had enhanced risk issued, with the last one happening back in the summer of 2023. And for this kind of severe weather to pop up so early in March is unusual, and it's a clear indication that the atmosphere has really had a schedule in terms of warming and instability. This system is going to be one for the books, and I'll be covering it in detail in my March weather vlog because it's shaping up to be the most significant severe weather event we've seen in quite a while. Once this storm system finally moves out, colder air is going to follow closely behind. By Thursday afternoon, that cold front will have pushed through and you'll really start to feel those winter-like temperatures return. The jet stream is going to dip, creating a trough that allows cold air from the north to spill southward. Even though the overall pattern for the upcoming weeks is expected to be warmer, this cold snap is going to be a reminder that winter isn't quite ready to let go just yet. We're talking about lows well below freezing and daytime highs stuck in the 40s and 50s, with some areas up north not even climbing out of the 30s. Snow showers will accompany this cold blast in parts of the Ohio Valley and portions of Canada as that strong low pressure system continues to churn over eastern Canada. Meanwhile, out west, a completely different weather story is unfolding. A pair of low pressure systems, one over eastern Colorado and another near Idaho, will bring heavy snowfall to the mountainous regions, including the Sierra Nevada, the Rockies, and surrounding areas. This setup is going to create some pretty significant snowfall accumulations over the next few days, and then we could be looking at a major snow event across the western U.S. as this system intensifies. By Friday, March 7th, the low pressure system responsible for this western snowfall shifts toward the central U.S., though it will have weakened considerably by then. Despite the drop in pressure, we'll still see scattered showers and snow showers to the north of the low, with continued snowfall across the Rockies and parts of the Southwest. As the weekend approaches, precipitation spreads into the south, bringing a mix of rain, thunderstorms, and even snow to states like New Mexico and Texas. Coastal areas of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle will likely see the most thunderstorm activity, with the potential for some stronger storms developing in this warm, moist air mass. Heading into the following week, the pattern remains active. A series of low-pressure systems will keep the western U.S. under a barrage of snowfall, while the east experiences fluctuating temperatures and sporadic severe weather threats. By the middle of the month, yet another powerful low-pressure system, possibly as strong as 984 millibars, is forecast to develop over Oklahoma. This setup is eerily similar to the current storm, with a robust cold front and warm, unstable air ahead of it, indicating another potential severe weather outbreak for the southern and central states, including Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, and Louisiana. As the system pushes eastward, the southeastern U.S. once again finds itself in the crosshairs of strong thunderstorms and severe weather. Meanwhile, heavy snowfall continues to blanket the Rockies and northern plains, creating a dynamic and impactful winter storm. This pattern of alternating warm and cold air masses driven by strong low pressure systems is exactly why we're seeing such an early and active start to severe weather season. It feels more like an April pattern than early March. And it's a direct result of above normal temperatures creating atmosphere primed for instability and storm development. Looking further ahead, the weather models continue to show an active western snowfall pattern with the Sierra Nevada and Rockies receiving well above average snow totals. The eastern U.S. remains in a state of temperature whiplash, bouncing between unseasonably warm conditions and sharp cold snaps. As we approach mid-March, the potential for additional severe weather outbreaks remains high, especially with strong low-pressure systems tracking across the central and eastern U.S. In summary, we're entering a period of intense and unpredictable weather, from damaging winds and severe thunderstorms in the southeast to heavy snowfall out west. This pattern is shaping up to be one of the most active starts to March in recent memory. Stay prepared, stay informed, and keep an eye on the latest forecast as we navigate this volatile weather season. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. I'll be covering these events in detail and keeping you informed every step of the way. Take care and stay safe out there.